At 2:43 a.m., the city around him slept. Only one room in a narrow apartment building stayed awake. Inside that room sat Rayyan, a tired and nearly broken coder. His laptop screen glowed weakly, as if it was also too exhausted to keep going. The fan inside the laptop rattled like an old engine. His electricity bill was due for the third month, and at any minute, his light could vanish. He had tried everything: coding jobs, internships, freelance projects, but the world kept telling him the same thing. Not selected. Maybe later. Try again next time. But the hardest truth was simple. Rayyan was poor, alone, and losing hope faster every day. He rubbed his eyes, trying to ignore the headache that never left him anymore. He wanted to sleep, but sleep meant waking up to the same empty life tomorrow. So he stayed awake, staring at lines of code that made no sense. His future looked the same: broken lines, unfinished, full of errors. Then it happened. A soft sound, a ding, echoed in the silent room. At first, Rayyan ignored it. Maybe it was another system error. His laptop was full of them. But then a message box slowly formed on his screen, glowing brighter than the rest of the page. The message said only one line. "You have a story to tell." Rayyan blinked. "Story?" he whispered. "What story? I'm a coder, not a writer." He checked the source. No app was open. No website was running. No background program could generate this. Still, the message stayed. He clicked the X button to close it. It didn't close. He restarted the laptop. When the screen lit up again, the same message appeared. "You have a story to tell." A cold shiver climbed up his spine. He looked around the room as if someone might be hiding. But there was nothing except an old table, a cracked window, and a dead plant he forgot to water months ago. Maybe his laptop had caught a virus. Maybe someone hacked him. Maybe someone was playing a joke. But who? He didn't talk to anyone. He hardly had friends. Still confused, Rayyan shut the laptop and stood up. He needed water, or maybe just a break. His head felt heavy. His heart felt heavier. He walked toward the kitchen. Then, knock, knock, knock. 3 slow knocks came from the front door. He froze. No one ever visited him. Not at this hour. Not at any hour. The knocks came again, a little louder this time. Rayyan forced himself to walk to the door. His hand trembled as he unlocked it and pulled it open. But the doorway was empty. No person. No shadow. No movement. Only the silent, cold hallway. He stepped out and looked left, then right. Nothing. He closed the door slowly. The timing was too perfect. The strange message. The knocks. At the exact same minute, 2:43 a.m. He returned to his desk, his heart beat faster now. When he opened the laptop again, his screen flashed once. The message changed. Now it said, "Write, or lose everything." Rayyan stared at those words. It felt like a threat. But also, like a command. He typed back, even though the message box wasn't supposed to let him. "Who are you?" For a moment nothing happened. Then 3 dots appeared like someone was typing back. But the dots never formed a full message. They vanished. The box closed by itself. Rayyan sat back, confused, scared, and strangely curious. He tried looking through system logs, code processes, and hidden scripts. Nothing unusual. It was like the message never existed, except, he knew it did. Minutes passed. Rayyan stared at the blank screen. His mind whispered, "Maybe I should write something, anything." So he opened a simple text file. He typed one sentence. "There was once a boy who wanted to escape his own life. He didn't know why he wrote it. He didn't even know where the idea came from. But as he wrote it, something inside him moved like a locked door slowly opening. He wrote another line. Then another. The words flowed with surprising ease, as if they were being whispered into his mind. The small story felt strangely alive. For the first time in months, Rayan felt something like energy, a spark he thought he had lost long ago. Hours passed without him noticing. But just as he finished the last line, the lights flickered. The laptop screen turned white. New words appeared. Good. But this is only the beginning. Rayan's breath caught. The message faded. The screen returned to normal. He tried to ignore it, but deep inside he sensed something. There was more to come. Something bigger. Something dangerous. A war had begun. Not a war with guns or armies. But a war inside his mind. A war between who he was, and who he was meant to be. And Rayan? He had no idea what he had just stepped into. The next morning, Rayan woke up with his head resting on the keyboard. His neck hurt. His eyes burned. But something inside him felt different. A little lighter. A little awake. He stretched and looked at the screen. The story he wrote last night was still there. He read it again, slowly this time. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't even close to perfect. But it felt honest. It felt like a voice he didn't know he had. He whispered to himself. Did I really write this? For a moment, he forgot about the strange messages, the knocks, and the warning. Write, or lose everything. But when he checked the time 2:43 p.m. his stomach tightened. 12 hours until that strange minute returned. He pushed the thought away and decided to test something. Maybe, just maybe, someone would read his writing. He opened a small online writing platform, free, simple, the kind nobody took seriously. He uploaded his story under a random username. No picture. No real name. Not even a bio. He just pressed publish and closed the tab. There, he said. Let's see if anyone cares. He didn't expect anything. Why would he? He was a failed coder with nothing to offer. He walked to the kitchen. The fridge was empty except for a bottle of old water. He laughed sadly. Millionaire writer? Yeah, right. He drank the water, sat on his bed, and stared at the ceiling. The apartment was silent, but the silence was different now. No longer painful, just unusual. After a while, he got up and returned to his laptop. He opened the writing site casually, not expecting anything. But what he saw made him freeze. His story had 96 views. It had 18 comments. And every comment said almost the same thing. This feels real. Did you live this? Your words hit my heart. This story is alive. Rayan blinked, thinking he was reading wrong. He refreshed the page. The numbers grew. 112 views. 23 comments. 4 shares. Impossible, he whispered. He had never written before. Never posted a story. Never shared anything personal. So how? Why? He scrolled through the comments again. People were arguing. Not in an angry way. But in a confused way. I don't know why, but I felt like I was inside this story. I cried at the final line. Whoever wrote this, please write more. Rayan leaned back slowly, his heartbeat loud in his ears. He didn't understand it. He didn't know if he should be happy or scared. But then another notification appeared. A message. Not from the mysterious sender. But from the platform itself. Your story is trending in the new voices category. Rayan stared. Trending. Him. His heart raced. He clicked on the ranking page. His first story ever, was now number 4. A strange energy filled his chest. Pride. Hope. Fear. He didn't know. But as he sat there, trying to process everything, the screen flickered for a second. The cursor moved by itself. Something invisible typed one short line at the bottom of the screen. "You are not ready." Rayan jumped to his feet, the chair falling back. His breath caught in his throat. The message disappeared instantly, as if it was never there. "No," he whispered. "Not again." He checked the background programs, the system logs, everything a normal mind would check. Nothing. Just like before. He shut the laptop and pressed his hands to his head. Why me? Who is doing this? But deep down, he already knew the truth. This wasn't a hacker. This wasn't a bug. This wasn't an accident. Someone or something wanted him to write. But why? He didn't want to think about it. So he forced himself to distract his mind. He washed his face, changed clothes, cleaned a small part of the room. But every few minutes, his eyes returned to the laptop. To the story. To the comments. To the strange message. By 8 p.m., his story had crossed 1,400 views. By 11 p.m., it became the number 1 trending story in the New Voices category. And by 1 a.m., it reached the front page of the entire platform. Rayan sat in front of the screen again. This time, he wasn't scared. He wasn't confused. He was excited. A part of him buried for years was finally waking up. But just as he began thinking about writing another story, his lights flickered again. 2:43 a.m. was close. He felt the air shift. The walls felt colder. The room felt tighter. The laptop turned on by itself. The screen went completely black. Then a single sentence appeared in white text. "Good start. Now write again." Rayan whispered shakily. "Why? Why me?" He didn't expect an answer. But he got one. "Because you forgot who you were." The words hit him like a punch. He typed with trembling fingers. Who was I? Silence. Then. A writer who surrendered. A creator who quit. Rayan felt his chest tighten. Memories he had buried long ago pulled at him. A younger version of himself. Writing short stories in notebooks. Dreaming of publishing a book. But life crushed him. He gave up. He chose coding. He chose survival over passion. The screen flickered again. Write, or watch your life collapse again. Rayan sat down slowly. This wasn't a request. This wasn't encouragement. This was a warning. A new war had begun. Not with the world. But with the version of himself he left behind. Rayan opened a new blank page. He took a slow breath. And he started typing again. Not because he wanted to. Not because he understood everything. But because something inside him whispered. This is only the beginning. By the next morning, Rayan was exhausted. He had barely slept. His hands were stiff from typing all night. But the strange energy that had awakened inside him refused to die. He couldn't stop thinking about the messages. The story. The warnings. He opened the laptop. The screen lit up instantly, as if it had been waiting for him. Notifications flooded the desktop. His story had exploded. Views, 12,000. Comments, 1,204. Shares, 345. Rayan's jaw dropped. 12,000 people had read his story overnight. 12,000 people had connected with the words he barely understood himself. Impossible, he whispered, leaning closer to the screen. But the numbers were real. Each second, the views ticked upward. 12,500. 13,000. 13,500. He scrolled through the comments. People weren't just liking the story, they were sharing emotions, memories, and experiences. They were crying, laughing, and begging for more. Please write another chapter. Your words saved me. I can't believe this is your first story. Rayyan's chest tightened. He hadn't expected this. He hadn't prepared for this. And then, his phone rang. The number was unknown. He hesitated but answered. A deep, calm voice spoke. Your time has started. Rayyan froze. Who is this? He asked. The voice said nothing. Only repeated. Your time has started. Then the call ended. The screen went black again. Rayyan sat back. His hands shook. He felt excitement, fear, and confusion all at once. Something enormous was happening. He could feel it in his bones. By noon, news websites had noticed his story. Small blogs picked it up. Then larger platforms. By evening, a publisher emailed him. We need to talk. Your story is extraordinary. Rayyan didn't know what to do. He had never spoken to a publisher in his life. He had never imagined anyone would pay him money for words. Yet something inside him, the spark from last night, urged him to keep going. To write more. To create. He sat down, opened a blank document, and began typing. This time, the words flowed faster. They didn't come from him alone. It was as if the story was writing itself, like a river rushing through a channel long blocked. Hours passed. He typed until his fingers hurt. Until his eyes blurred. Until the room was dark and quiet, except for the soft clacking of the keyboard. When he finally finished, he uploaded the story. And then, waited. Within minutes, the notifications exploded. Comments, shares, and likes poured in faster than he could read. It wasn't just readers anymore. Famous writers, bloggers, even journalists noticed. They were calling him a literary phenomenon. And then the bank notifications began. Rayyan had no idea how it happened. He had never set up a proper account for payments. Yet suddenly, numbers appeared in his account. Money he couldn't have imagined. First thousands. Then tens of thousands. Then hundreds of thousands. He leaned back in his chair, heart pounding. This is insane, he muttered. But amidst the chaos, the strange messages continued. This time, they were harsher. Pay the price. Rayyan stared. Pay the price? For what? He had no answer. But deep down, he knew the price was not money. It was something else. Something hidden. Something waiting for him. By the third day, Rayyan's story had gone viral across platforms. Television reporters wanted interviews. Publishers wanted contracts. People were calling him a miracle writer. Yet Rayyan could not enjoy it. Every night, 2:43 a.m. returned. Every night, his laptop glowed with the message. Write, or lose everything. And every night, Rayyan wrote. His stories became longer, deeper, more alive. Each story earned him fame, money, and admiration, but also fear. Fear of the unknown force guiding him. Fear of losing control. Fear of the price he didn't understand. One night, as he stared at his screen, the words appeared differently. You are not alone. But they are watching. Rayyan froze. His mind raced. Who was watching? Was it other writers? Readers? Or something else? Something unnatural. He didn't know. But one thing was clear, his life had changed forever. The quiet, lonely coder he had been was gone. Replaced by someone the world now noticed. Someone whose words could move thousands. Someone whose life was no longer his own. And yet, deep inside, a part of him was thrilled. Because for the first time in years, Rayan felt alive. But he also felt the weight of responsibility. Fame, money, admiration, they were only the surface. Beneath it, something bigger was unfolding. A test. A war. A journey he had no idea how to survive. By the end of the week, Rayan had signed his first contract. His bank account had grown exponentially. His story was read by tens of thousands daily. Yet every night, the same question haunted him. Who is sending these messages? And what do they want from me? He stared at the glowing laptop screen one last time before bed, whispering to himself. I will find out. I have to. And as he drifted into a restless sleep, a single thought echoed in his mind. This is only the beginning. Rayan had been living in a whirlwind for weeks. Every day, his stories reached more people. Every night, the messages came at exactly 2:43 a.m. Write, or lose everything. The words haunted him. The fame, the money, the attention, it all felt surreal. But he couldn't ignore the force guiding him anymore. Something was behind this. Something or someone was watching, controlling, or testing him. He decided it was time to find answers. Rayan began with the obvious, the laptop. Every file, every system process, every hidden folder. He scanned through hundreds of logs and codes. Hours passed. Nothing unusual. No virus, no program, no hacker. Then what is it? He whispered. Why me? Frustrated, he remembered the first strange message, you have a story to tell. It wasn't random. It was personal. It was directed at him. Then, an idea struck. Perhaps it wasn't about anyone else. Perhaps it was about himself. Rayan dug into old folders on his laptop, things he had long forgotten. He discovered a folder labeled Drafts 2015. Curious, he opened it. Inside were dozens of unfinished stories. Stories he had written years ago, during college, when he had dreamed of becoming a writer. Tales of adventure, love, fear, and imagination filled with raw talent, but abandoned before completion. He read one story. Then another. His eyes widened. These weren't just stories. These were his own forgotten dreams. Suddenly, everything clicked. The mysterious messages. The sudden talent. The stories writing themselves. It wasn't magic. It wasn't a hacker. It was himself, his past self, calling him back to the path he abandoned. Rayan remembered the boy he had been, full of hope, excitement, and creativity. He remembered the discouragement, the failures, the people telling him he wasn't good enough. And he remembered giving up. Choosing coding over writing. Survival over passion. The laptop, the messages, the push, it was all a reflection of his abandoned dreams demanding to live again. For the first time, Rayan felt the weight of understanding. He whispered softly. I gave up on myself. All of this, it's my fault. Then a new message appeared on the screen. It wasn't at 2:43 a.m. It was now. You are ready. Rayan's fingers trembled. He typed back. Ready for what? The reply was instant. To finish what you started. To create what you abandoned. To become who you were meant to be. Rayan sat back. His heart pounded. The truth was heavier than he expected. It wasn't fame. It wasn't money. It wasn't the attention. It was responsibility. He was no longer writing for himself. He was writing for the millions who connected with his stories. He was writing for the version of himself that he had silenced years ago. And the world didn't know it, but he understood. He remembered a draft story titled The Man Who Never Gave Up. It was unfinished. He had stopped at the climactic scene. Now, inspired by the messages and his revelation, he opened it. The story seemed to guide him. Words flowed naturally, effortlessly, as if a hidden hand was helping him. He realized it wasn't help. It was memory. His younger self had already mapped the journey. The words were inside him all along. He only needed to rediscover them. Night fell. The time approached 2:43 a.m. Rayyan felt calm, for the first time. He opened his laptop. The screen glowed, but there was no message this time. Just the blank page. He smiled. He didn't need a message. He didn't need a push. He knew what to do. He typed with confidence, speed, and clarity. The words formed a story so complete, so alive, that even he was amazed. His past self was there, guiding him. His present self was creating. And his future self? Waiting to see the impact. By morning, the story was ready. He uploaded it. Almost immediately, it went viral not just online, but internationally. People called him a genius. Critics hailed him as a prodigy. And yet, Rayyan knew the truth. He wasn't a prodigy. He was a man reclaiming his own life. And then, the final revelation came. A new message appeared, this time different. Not a warning. Not a threat. Not a command. Remember this. Your gift is not for luck. It is for remembering who you are. Protect it. Use it wisely. And never forget this is only the beginning. Rayyan sat silently. A calm understanding filled him. The war wasn't over. There would be challenges. Critics, deadlines, pressures, expectations. But now he knew the source of his power. He had found the truth behind his gift. It wasn't money, fame, or recognition. It was himself. His past failures had shaped him. His abandoned dreams had guided him. And now, he had a chance to finally complete the story of his life. For the first time, Rayyan felt fully alive. And deep inside, a spark whispered. This is your gift. Own it. Protect it. And write what only you can write. The laptop screen faded to black. Rayyan leaned back. His journey had taken him from failure to sudden fame, from doubt to discovery, from fear to understanding. But he knew one thing clearly, the real journey was just beginning. And somewhere, deep in the shadows of his mind, the next story was already waiting. Months had passed since Rayyan discovered the truth about his gift. His life had transformed completely. No longer the struggling coder in a dark apartment, he now lived in a modest but comfortable flat. His bank account had grown steadily. His stories reached millions around the world. Publishers lined up for contracts. Interviews, television appearances, and international recognition became part of his daily life. Yet despite all the fame and wealth, Rayyan felt no arrogance. He remembered clearly what had brought him here: the abandoned drafts, the forgotten dreams, the mysterious messages. They were not just signs of talent, they were lessons. One evening, Rayyan sat at his desk, staring at a blank page. The sun was setting, casting orange light into the room. The laptop screen glowed softly, waiting. He took a deep breath. The story he was about to write would be his most important, yet not for fame, not for money, but for himself. For the boy he had once been. For the dreams he had abandoned. For the man he had become. He began to type. The words came naturally, almost as if guided by something invisible. Every sentence carried his heart, his struggle, his triumph. He wrote about failure, hope, fear, and courage. He wrote about the power of never giving up. He wrote the story he had always wanted to tell, but this time, he would finish it. Hours passed like minutes. The story was long, detailed, alive. By midnight, he leaned back, exhausted but satisfied. He titled it, "The Man Who Wrote with His Past." With trembling hands, He uploaded the story. Then he waited. Within minutes, the response was extraordinary. Readers flooded in from around the world. Comments poured in by the thousands. People said his story had changed their lives. Some cried. Others said it gave them courage to chase their own dreams. Publishers called him. International media praised him. And somewhere deep inside, Rayan felt a quiet happiness he had never known before. He realized that success was not about money, fame, or recognition. It was about fulfilling the potential that he had once abandoned. That night, at exactly 2:43 a.m., his laptop glowed once again. But this time, the message was different. You have finished the first chapter of your life. The rest is yours. Rayan smiled. He no longer felt fear or confusion. He understood now. The messages, the guidance, the sudden talent, it had all been a mirror of his own past, urging him to reclaim his life. He typed a short response. Thank you. The screen went black. Silent. Calm. Rayan leaned back, closing his eyes. For the first time in years, he felt at peace. He had won a war, the war against doubt, fear, and abandonment. But more importantly, he had won himself. In the following months, he wrote more stories, each better than the last. He became a celebrated author, known for creating worlds that felt alive, stories that touched hearts, and characters that stayed in the minds of readers. Yet he never forgot the lesson he had learned. Talent alone is not enough. Dreams require courage, persistence, and rediscovery. And even with all the success, there was still mystery. Every now and then, a notification would appear, not a message, but a gentle reminder. Your next story begins now. It was not a threat. It was not a command. It was an invitation. Rayan understood. Life itself was a story, waiting to be written. And he was ready. Years later, when people asked him how he became a millionaire author overnight, he would smile and say, "It wasn't overnight. I just remembered who I was and who I was meant to be." He would tell them about the abandoned drafts, the messages that pushed him forward, and the quiet awakening that changed everything. He would tell them that success was not about luck, it was about reconnecting with your own heart and never giving up. And sometimes, when the world was silent and the clock struck 2:43 a.m., Rayan would open his laptop, not to receive a message, but to start a new story. A story about hope. A story about rebirth. A story that only he could tell. And deep inside, he knew this was the greatest gift of all. The chance to live the life he had always imagined, one story at a time. The laptop glowed softly. The city slept. But Rayan was awake. And he was ready. Because the true story, his story, had only just begun.